Welcome Virgo to your in-depth monthly horoscope for August 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to share some standout details to begin with, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater detail all the ins and outs particularly relevant to your sign. Now we need to focus on your ruler Mercury. Mercury goes through a bit of a challenge at the start of this month, opposing Saturn, but then goes into its pre-retrograde shadow on the 4th. The retrograde itself begins on the 23rd, but there is an exciting opportunity in week 2 that I can't wait to share with you. Then the Sun arrives in your sign on the 23rd too. So although Mercury retrograde could create some challenges, I also feel there are some big possibilities. And with the power and passion of the Sun arriving in your sign, the last part of this month is going to be particularly intriguing for you. So please stay with me for more. I'd like to share with you a very special opportunity. This year is absolutely racing by, and year 2024 is speeding towards us. However, if you order your year 2024 personal horoscope forecast now, based on your unique birth data, I will prepare for you the rest of year 2023 free of charge. But also within my package of 30% off, you can get your character analysis report, your life roadmap. This helps you to understand the patterns that have played out in your journey so far. Some of these definitely give us opportunities, but others can be more challenging, and a more intimate understanding of these helps us to seize our potential more firmly. Please see the link beneath this video for more on this unique opportunity. So Virgo, let's unpack August for you. It begins with a full moon in the sign of Aquarius, which is very much about the community, our connections to others. And the Sun for you in the sign of Leo is in house 12, more reflective, more psychological. The great news, however, is that you do have Mars in your sign along with Mercury, and Mars is forging an absolutely dynamic link with Jupiter, the planet of fortune, right on the first day too. And that's going to go on for the first week of this month. That's giving you a big push to have maximum belief in what you're trying to achieve. But the full moon could tease into your mind the potential for opposition, even if no one's actually saying what that opposition is. So you may have to use a little bit of mind over matter early in this month, particularly as Saturn, the planet of limitation, opposes your ruler Mercury across the first 4 days. So what I would say from this is that Mars in your sign is very much about being rugged, showing some robustness in the face of any challenges, but it's also about listening to your hunches and going for it in a very direct way. Jupiter in the 9th house is about freedom, essentially, and discovery, adventure. So if you want to free yourself from a situation that feels limiting, you don't get much respect, you are being very honourable and doing your best to assist others, but they're not giving you much back. I think in the early part of this month there may be part of you that does want to escape such psychological or physical restrictions, but that doesn't mean to say that other people are necessarily going to be pleased about it. And it's just that because Saturn is opposing your ruler Mercury early in this month too, there could be a strong sense of responsibility if you decide to limit your support for a situation, or not choose to do overtime, or not cover for a colleague's shift. You could feel a little bit guilty about it, but I think it's very important that you're looking after you, both psychologically and physically, on the back of that full moon. Now also through the first 10 days of this month, Jupiter, ironically, in a great link with Mars in your sign, is forging a square to the Sun. Now I must be honest, this is one of the most positive of all squares. Jupiter can be very generous, very benevolent, and the Sun in the 12th house, compassionate to those who are less fortunate. But I feel because Uranus then goes on to square it with the Sun as well, and this includes the new moon, which occurs on the 16th, I really feel it's very, very important that you don't feel overburdened by that very responsible side of your nature, which tends to be very strong. Also, there could be some concerns about your love life. There is no doubt about it. With Venus in a retrograde in the 12th house, you may be rethinking a current alliance, thinking about someone from your past, or thinking in general what you need from your relationships. And there may be a sense of needing to work some energies through. Now, in actual fact, Venus forges a beautiful link with the North Node across week 1. So that's now in house 8, great for digging deep and also for letting go of what no longer serves your purpose. So if you do find yourself actually grieving for someone you haven't been with for a very long time, or having even some really quite nostalgic thoughts about a relationship, don't let that cloud your judgment too much. With Neptune in house 7 and in retrograde, rethinking about relationships is part of the process that's going on for you at the moment. But because Venus in retrograde does come into contact with the Sun on the 13th, exactly in a cazimi, that is going to get a lot of publicity. And it is possible that you will have a connection with someone in a confidential way, a non-verbal way, that is very powerful and could have the potential to grow. But the 12th house is very sheltered, but it also can be our sector of secret enemies in traditional astrology. Venus can be very superficial, so someone can say all the right things, but actually think completely the opposite. So do watch out for how sincere people are this month. And I feel the energy that's going on with Jupiter and Uranus is reminding you of your right to be free from burdens. So when we get to the new moon of the 16th, which squares up with Uranus, although that can see you setting your intentions, preparing yourself for when the Sun moves on the 23rd into your sign, welcoming in a burst of vibrant vitality, there may be certain elements of your situation you do need to release and let go. And of course, Mercury going retrograde on the 23rd after the shadow begins on the 4th suggests that some elements or some plans may stop, some may rewind, some may falter completely, but the ones that really have merit will emerge at the end of September and will be very sustainable because they will have been future-proofed and tested to destruction. So don't see Mercury retrograde as an exclusively negative thing. It can be very positive. Mars also moves out of your sign on the 28th into house 2. This is going to give you a furnace-like intent to improve your finances in the following 6 weeks. Uranus, however, does go into retrograde on the 29th through to the 27th of January, joining up with Venus and Mercury that are retrograde in this month, along with Saturn, along with Neptune, and along with Pluto. Uranus retrograde for you, house 9, very much about freedom, but also about higher ideals, travel, knowledge. Because the 9th house is very much about exploration, the introversion of Uranus here is asking you whether you are giving away any of your power, any of your any part of your nature that does like to explore, to commitments or to a relationship that is preventing you from accessing parts of your nature that are part of your higher being. Because Uranus is the planet of higher truths, and the 9th house is very much about philosophy and the truth of our situation. So see Uranus retrograde as being a bit of a crash course in testing out whether you are giving away your power. I feel that's going to come up this month anyway, and by the end of this month, as there is a blue moon which is in your opposite sign of Pisces but close to Saturn, any kind of relationship which really has been bumping along the bottom is almost certain to be really challenged in the first 2 weeks of September. And it's not just because of Venus being in your 12th house, it is because of Saturn being in house 7 along with Neptune. So there are a lot of things that are converging in your situation. Your alliances may be to do with friends, they could be to do with a job, they could be to do with an interest group, it may be a neighbour. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner, but someone that you've been linked to, unless the energy you're getting back from others is matching the energy you're putting in, not necessarily quid pro quo, but in terms of its sincerity. If the intent is there, you'll know that this is a relationship you can count on. If that intent isn't there, I think that you are going to be asking some serious questions about how much of your power and energy and freedoms you're giving away to something which could prove to be rather draining. But with the sun coming into your sign, this is your chance to really take very seriously your goodnesses, your qualities, your skills, your talents, and how you can reach a wider audience with them. So new strands starting now, despite Mercury's retrograde and Saturn's opposition on that moon, can still make progress if they're good for you and they're well thought through. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Virgo. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, share, comment, or subscribe.